Hey guys, and welcome to a battle between the Dark Lord, also known as Aristodemus, up against Maxo here, or Maxo X, sorry, and we're going to see a battle between the Wood Elves and the Empire in this very desolate and bleak map. So without further ado, let's get in and have a little look at the armies. So, me and Aristodemus in recent times have been deep in discussion about SwiftShiver shards. I am a fan of these little boys, and he certainly is not, but he brought it on himself to take them in quite a few different matchups to see if his mind could be swayed. And as you can see, these guys do of course come with the SwiftShiver shard ability here. So they have enchanted arrows, making their arrows magic. They do lose a little bit of range, but they fire 2 arrows at a time, making them perfect for pulling down chaff, and they trade fairly effectively with enemy missiles if they can get nice and close while still being stalked here. So very good at burst damaging, but not quite as good, of course, at taking down heroes and high value targets as something like Weight Watchers. On the left-hand flank, we do have the Sisters of Thorn, a really good versatile cav unit here. Very good at skirmishing. They will throw these nice little javelins, and they do come in with a couple of bound abilities, Shield of Thorns here, and the Curse, slowing down and lowering melee attack. I actually quite like these guys in big blob fights, dropping those big area effect buffs and debuffs. Now for the main battle line, we have 4 units of Eternal Guard with shields. Cheap, cheerful, and reliable. These guys have surprisingly good stats, and I wish I did see them a little bit more often. Coming in with 45 melee defense is certainly no joke. Silver shields as well make them very good at being a front-line troop. In the back line, we do get to see 3 units of the War Dancers with Azrai spears. Not only do these ladies look incredibly badass with their Celtic-style tattoos, they have some very cool attack animations, anti-large, and they're very quick for foot troops, allowing them to dart around the battlefield and pop on opponents as quickly as possible. I'm a big fan of the Regiment of Renown version as well, but unfortunately none of those ladies here today. So we have 3 of those in the back line, and for his little hero core here, we do have a Spellslinger of Shadows here, coming in with Melkov's Mystifying Miasma, going to be able to try and control some of those knights by slowing them down, and a Pendulum to deal with that nasty regimented front line of the Empire. For leadership, we do have the Glade Lady on her mighty stallion here. Good to see her on a different mount than usual. Normally she's up on the skies in an eagle or a dragon, coming in just with the prey of an Rama, basically a net, which obviously also gives that minus 22% missile resistance, once again allowing the map control there, try and pin in knights and allow the War Dancers to hop onto them. Now for the forces of the Empire here, as you expected, very heavy in the cav department. On this left flank we have Reichsguard mixed in with M2 units of Empire Knights, and the same on the other side as well. Heavy cav, very good at running down Wood Elves, and they really certainly struggle in this matchup. And as you can see, this very bold Bright Wizard is going to be leading the charge here, taking a ton of arrows to the face there, and he's just going to be rocking the Flamestorm, but already taking a little bit of a beating. For the main front line, we do just have Spearmen on the flanks with an absolute bucket ton of Swordsmen, all waiting for a nasty Pendulum there in their very regimented front line. But cheap and cheerful across the board, nice shielded to take arrows as well. Then down for his hero core, we do have a Warrior Priest, which is quite an interesting pick here, going to be certainly buffing up these swordsmen and allowing them to stick into the fight longer. And Boris Todbringer on foot, always good to take a little glance at his wonderful helm here and beautiful eye patch. So without further ado, let's get in this battle underway. So as you can see, Bright Wizard 4 was a good idea to push forward and drop down a spell, but has been pushed back by nice fire here from the Deepwood Scouts. Looks like in comes the Flamestorm, but unfortunately going to be a bit of a swing and a miss. Now this is the perfect target here on the left-hand flank. These poor little Spearmen for the Deepwood Scouts, they do such good damage up against tightly packed formations like this of cheap and cheerful troops. Over here, great play by Aristodemus, netting down the Empire Knights, getting a few volleys in there, and pushing up with the War Dancers, who will tear apart Knights with not too many problems. Of course, if they do take a charge, they are a little bit flimsy and can get thrown around. Once they get stuck in like this into a decent fight, especially with the help of the Sisters of the Thorn, these Empire Knights are certainly going to struggle, and you can see almost down to half health already as some more arrow support does come in. Now, good play by the Empire player, trying to wrap around as much as possible with his Knights on this flank. There's not too much left protecting these Deepwood Scouts, but Eternal Guard try their best, but get a little bit run over here, and that's a big problem for the Wood Elves. But in the back line, in come the War Dancers, and he's going to be pulling back through the Eternal Guards here. So if these Knights do try and chase, they're going to get a very unfortunate matchup there. Empire Knights also hit with a Melkov's Mystifying Miasma, slowing their speed down and allowing the War Dancers to catch them and just decimate them, those guys. Look how much health they've lost in such a quick time. So the cav engagement's going relatively well for the Wood Elves so far, but here come the legions of swordsmen and spearmen in the front line. And see, Deepwood Scouts attempting to do their best Waywatcher impression there and do some damage to Boris, but they're certainly not great at taking down individual characters. A lovely pendulum coming down the front line as well, very well timed on a moving force there, catching 3 units of swordsmen, doing some pretty huge damage as the Deepwood Scouts retreat deeper and deeper into their own lines. Over on this flank, War Dancers clearing up Empire Knights. We'll be able to help Sisters of Thorn pinning in some Reichsguards. These guys need to wrap back around and hop on top of them and slowly drag them down. And the battle has basically become a large chase scene with some Eternal Guard and War Dancers desperately trying to hold the line as this big portion of Deepwood Scouts does start to fall back. But Reichsguard are certainly on the chase here, and a few units are slowly starting to be caught here. We do have the Glade Lady riding over as well. Perhaps she has a net waiting for us to try and pin in some of these units. And in come the War Dancers as well with Eternal Guard. We do have one net coming down on the Reichsguard. The War Dancers going to switch targets now and hop into these guys, spinning their spears in their best Arya Stark impression, tearing men down from their horses here as they get dragged down into the dirt. Deepwood Scouts have managed to rally for the most part and escape pursuit, trying to focus down those Reichsguard where possible. Sisters of Thorn being used fantastically so far through this game. With the help of War Dancers, they've done a really good job managing to pull down units where possible. But there's quite a few knights now have managed to break into the soft underbelly of the Wood Elf forces. In the front line, we do have 3 units of Eternal Guard here getting fantastic value, holding back 4 Empire units plus Boris Todbringer. These guys really need to get chasing and hunting down those Deepwood Scouts, trying to pick off the more elite units of the Wood Elf army. Even Swordsmen up against War Dancers is good. Yes, you will lose the fight, but you're going to be gaining that value. Looks like the Glade Lady has started to chase down the Bright Wizard here, but unfortunately is not going to be fast enough to escape her wrath, but she does decide to dip out of there as some Empire Knights come in pursuit. Over in the foreground with some nice play here once again from Sisters of Thorn pinning in Reichsguard has allowed the War Dancers or Azrai Spears to catch up, drag those guys into the dirt, and they're so close to the edge of the battlefield now they're probably going to be fleeing. Unfortunately, some of the Deepwood Scouts did get terrified off as well themselves, but overall managed to stay relatively active and now launching shots into some retreating swordsmen. The main fight is going Empire's way, but that's kind of expected. They put a lot more resources into this fight and they have been pinned up for a very long time. In the distance, we have some War Dancers. Looks like they were chasing some Empire Knights to the edge of the earth there. Going to be running back as well. And the Glade Lady doing her best to just be as annoying as possible, skirting around the outsides of the battlefield and shooting shots every now and again. So most of the mobile forces of the Empire have been picked apart. Definitely deliberate there from Deimos. Wants to limit the mobility of the Empire forces so he can allow these scouts simply to kite out the enemy here. A load of Empire Knights are going to be doing a charge, but a big old volley does come in from Empire Knights. Those beautiful blue shards causing death, and you can see many an Empire Knight has fallen to the ground here, but they're going to be able to make contact. And once again, in come the War Dancers. These guys have been absolutely everywhere today, forcing these Empire Knights away, and even if they can just distract them for as long as possible, they're now taking extra long to get on top of these scouts, who are constantly firing those shots in, and you can see these Empire Knights are so close to breaking now. In come the Sisters of Thorn for that last little bit of protection, going to be dragging those Empire Knights down into the dirt. Glade Lady has arrived as well, very swift on her steed. It's nice to see her in action. I think it can be a very good pick. And in the front line, Spellslinger is being chucked in there just to try and hold back the enemy where possible. So we do have some returning Eternal Guard and War Dancers desperately trying to run over here to help out their scouts. But these guys are pretty quick, and they're going to be able to skirmish these swordsmen into the other realm, you'd expect. Balance power still relatively evil. Not evil. Deepwood Scouts now trying to focus down a Warrior Priest, which is certainly not the best target for them. These guys need to be dealing with chaff units such as Swordsmen. They're not so good, unfortunately, at taking down characters. Another beautiful pendulum coming in here, tearing through these swordsmen, doing some really fantastic damage, breaking, it looks like, all 3 units. The Deepwood Scouts were used there to pin them in place, now going to be falling back and doing those 316 no-scopes, breaking the units as they take huge burst damage here. Looks like some spearmen have been netted as well, just to slow down the tide of chaff coming in, taking a few shots and allowing the Eternal Guard and War Dancers as well a little bit of time just to make it back to the main battle line. So overall, if we take a grander look at the battle, Wood Elves certainly in a dominant position now, able to kite the remaining Empire forces. We do have a few Reichsguard left on the field, and a unit over here as well, but so many of their units are in retreat now. They're coming in drips and drabs, and yes, they have a very healthy Warrior Priest and a very healthy Boris Todbringer, but they will get swarmed and dragged down unless they can unite all these Empire forces, rally to the king, and pull the game out, because I think it is certainly against him as we speak. Right Guard do go for a nice charge on the Deepwood Scouts, but once again there is hot pursuit by the Spellslinger here, and those War Dancers have never been far away, chasing these guys off, and it looks like they are in fact now routing, so close to the edge of the battlefield they're almost certainly not going to be coming back. Warpriest is trying his best to chase these guys down now, and it looks like they have used up the majority of their ammunition, up to 67 kills now, and they have just run out, but they can just still kite him and drag him all over the place while he takes nice amounts of crossfire. Does have a Shield of Faith popped as well, but it's not going to be a little bit too little too late, and he does in fact start to rout there. Boris stands alone, but he is dragging it down at some Deepwood Scouts. Now, having a Foot Lord against Wood Elves can often be seen as a good idea, because they're much harder to snipe if someone has gone the Waywatcher build, but at the same time, you can form into this bit of a problem. If he's on a horse right now, he could hunt down these Deepwood Scouts and really get his hands around their throats and tear them to pieces. But because he's on foot, the Elves are simply going to frolic through this desolate wasteland and kind of mock him as they dance away, doing those nice 360 shots. Right Guard once again fleeing for their lives from the War Dancers. Looks like they're going to be trying to hunt down these Deepwood Scouts who are driving off the Warrior Priest. Nice diligent play here coming in by the Wood Elves, forcing off these units where they can to ensure there is no late game comebacks. But then come the Empire Knights with a really nice charge. Sisters of Form, only 6 models left, have been really pivotal this game, and they're going to bounce into combat here trying to drive off these Knights, and they have a decent charge bonus as well, coming in with 30. Nothing fantastic, they're more meant for skirmishing, but still, it will do okay up against these Knights here. And it has once again allowed the War Dancers to pop in, and his Right Guard are certainly done for here. Boris trying his best here, but he is getting cycle charged now by the Spellslinger and the Glade Lady. We've got a nice little swipe with her sword. He tries desperately there, flinging himself into the air as the horse rears up there. A nasty stab going in on that horse as well. Very rude of Boris there to attack the mount and not the rider. But in come the Deepwood Scouts, in come the Sister of Thorn, and Boris, unfortunately, I think you have met your match here. Starts to break there, being completely surrounded by far superior forces here. I believe that is going to be game. So we're just going to fast forward here. As you can see, all the Empire units just being mopped up, and Boris does indeed break. So very well played. Let's go to the end stats here. So GG's to both players, especially the Dark Lord there, Alistair Deimos, for getting the nice win, and a massive thank you for him as well. For one, taking up the challenge of using a unit that he normally doesn't really enjoy too much, the Deepwood Scouts with SwiftShiver shafts, and for sending in this replay so I can cast it on the channel. Now, really nice play of them anyway, baiting in some of those Knights early on and then pinning them in place with Sisters of Thorn and Nets, and then counter-charging with the War Dancers. As you can see, 67, 68 and 89 kills is very impressive, helping to clear out that chaff, which often Wood Elves can really struggle with. A couple of other units not doing so much damage. And as we saw in this replay, they are certainly no Waywatchers. They cannot snipe out characters very effectively. They did okay damage to the Withered, but you saw a few of those shots going on at Boris and the Warrior Priest, and that's certainly not what they're used for. So, they do, have, of course, have a very niche pick, but I think in certain matchups, they can be very effective, as proven here by the man, the myth, the legend himself. I think the real MVPs here, though, even though that Spellslinger got 100 kills with some beautiful pendulums, I think was the War Dancer play. They were all over the place, counter-charging Cav, and as you saw, they weren't often the ones taking that early shock damage. The Sisters of Thorn would be used to pin people in place, and they would come in with the counter-charge, really helping to neuter the potential of this very nasty heavy Cav formation. Anyway guys, I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please do consider leaving a big old thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel and fancy sticking around seeing more Total War Warhammer content, feel free to subscribe, and if you want to send replays into me and get involved in tournaments, I do have a link to my Discord just down in the description below. But anyway guys, peace, thanks for watching, and until next time, stay awesome.